Sorry, we were just having some weird technical difficulties between me and Dylan here. Our times were off. Yeah. Dawn and Dylan with Romance Happy Hour. The Easter edition. See my bunny ears. Dylan, what have you been working on during this quarantine?
Trying to find toilet paper.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We're down to our last package, so someone's going to have to leave the house on a quest tomorrow, and we'll be outfitted in full protective gear, I'm sure. So, yeah. Oh, book-wise, I have been I boxed up my first 3 books in the Lovebird Cafe series and threw that out there. And then I'm also working on, right now, I'm working on the 3rd book in the Tying the Knot in Texas series. I've got like all those books right now for, if those of you that have worked with traditional publishers, it's like you've got like one you're doing final proofs and one that you're, getting into just the first round of edits. And then the 3rd one that I'm working on right now, first draft. So I'm living in I Do Texas right now in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm also working on edits for a standalone that I'm hoping to get out next month, end of this month or next month. So we'll see.
Nice.
Dawn's ears keep coming in and out. So how about you?
Yeah, they do. It's AR ears. So
how about you, our little Easter bunny?
Yeah, I have been working on face masks for my husband. Is what I've been working on. But when I get up early enough to write, I've been writing. I'm thinking it's going to be called Must Love Dogs, but I'm not sure. So I want to talk to Dylan, the master of book titles.
Oh, this is our idea that we came up with. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna doing the first 3 chapters for our agent and seeing where it goes from there. But
there's a very popular movie called Must Love Dogs.
I know, and that's why I was like, oof, but I need a title similar to that where the heroine can confuse it for an actual dating site. So
see, there you go. You're gonna give it away.
Yeah,
give it away.
That's
Dawn's always full of spoilers.
Yeah, I do spoil. I'm a spoiler alert. I do have a little prize for you viewers today. I know Dylan's gonna be, come on, but this is my Easter bunny, and for every question that you guys ask, we're gonna add an egg to it, and that's the prize I give my Chinese kids. That kind of stuff when they answer questions correctly too. Anyways, let's see how many eggs we can gather with the Easter bunny here. All right. Jean. Hi. Welcome. Jean Oram. Did I say that correctly?
You sure did.
All right. Welcome. Why don't you tell us about yourself and what you're working on?
Sure. I live up in Canada where it just keeps snowing this year. I don't know. They're not bringing us spring. I don't know what we did. Maybe it's to keep us all home. But I also have to go on a toilet paper quest tomorrow because we didn't hoard any. And now we're going to it's time to go out in the big bad world. So that's going to be our Good Friday. But I'm working on a series right now. I write small town sweet romances. And I live in an area around a lot of cowboys. And I was sort of like, well, you know what? It's time to write some of those guys. I don't know. There's something about how they're just, they're strong but silent, but they have this sort of deep well of emotion that you kind of have to dig into. And it's just like, oof, when you get it and you find it. And so that's what I'm writing.
And Amelia, welcome.
Hi.
How about you?
How's your toilet paper situation, Amelia?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a hoarder, but I just really frequent Sam's Club a lot, and I tend to just buy it like whenever we're there. So we ended up with like a lot of extra, which I'm like kind of embarrassed about, but it wasn't hoarding at the time. It was just buying it. So that's fine.
Just checking.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. So, and what are you guys working on? You said you're working on Small Town Jean, right?
Yeah.
And what about you, Amelia?
Well, I have written like almost every kind of romance in the last few years. But right now I'm working on a dark romance trilogy. The first book is called King of Shadows, and it's it's a contemporary retelling of the Hades and Persephone myth.
Okay.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, it's really good. So that's what I'm working on, the third book actually. So that's all my time.
Awesome. So, Jean, I do have one quick question from you, and we do have some Canadian viewers. Do you know Linda?
Oh, which one?
Linda Dunn. If you look to the
I
comments,
don't know that one.
she's our resident Canadian.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know her yet.
You will then. You will.
Small little circle, you know.
Canada is a very small, tight-knit place. So
Yeah.
I know Linda will find you.
And who is your favorite country singer?
Did she ask that?
Is it fair to ask that?
Okay. Who's your
I
favorite?
don't see that
Canadian?
question over there, Dawn.
Canadian? No, I asked that.
I
There's,
just say, that's a hard one. I don't actually listen to country very often,
Okay.
unless I'm actually looking for romance story ideas, believe it or not. Then I switch to country because I don't know. I find that country songs will bring, I don't know, they just start getting those little synapses firing in my brain. But as for an actual favorite, I will probably think of one when we're done the interview. Like, oh, I should have said so and so. But I did kind of fall in love with the show Nashville that's on Netflix. And I had to stop watching it because I woke up angry one day from like, I kind of fell in love with Raina, who's the head country singer. And so when you said favorite country star, I'm like, oh, Raina. And I'm like, she's not real. So I had to stop watching it because the show became really real. And I was getting really angry with Raina's husband because he didn't treat her right.
Aww.
And so I had to pull the cord.
You were too emotionally invested.
Yeah.
I was.
So that must be
really
some
was.
good writing on that show if they can suck you in like that.
Yeah.
Which is what we try to do to our readers, right?
Right. We're like, ha when we get them to like cry and feel all the feelings.
That's right. Oh, funny.
Linda did want to know, where in Canada do you live, if you don't mind responding?
I live in Alberta.
Alberta. Okay. So, gosh dang it, what is this dude's name? There is a country singer, and I fell in love with him, and he's a Canadian, but now I can't remember him because I've had like 3 glasses of wine, but I started at 4.
Dawn, I thought we talked about this last time.
So, hey, I have 4 kids, and
No, enough said.
and my husband's about to go to New York City, so there we go. Yeah, I'm going to remember his name, and then I'm going to tell you.
Gord Brown.
Corblund. It's Corblund. Corblund.
Okay. I don't know.
He sings about Alberta all the time.
Does he?
And yes, and I completely fell in love with his music because he has one that sounds like a Marty Robbins ballad, and I just love it. And then he's got the "My Truck Got Stuck" song, and it cracks me up. And when you were talking about cowboy up there, that's what I was envisioning, is a bunch of trucks getting stuck in the fields in Alberta.
Been there a couple of times. Yep.
All right.
If I teach my daughter how to get the truck stuck and unstuck,
Yeah.
well, I did a really good job of teaching her how to get stuck like immediately. Not so much on the getting unstuck. Apparently, that's really hard to teach somebody just how to feather that pedal just right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
So
no,
then
it's a good song, Linda, and he's a good singer. You should look him up. I'm not dreaming this. I went to his concert with my sisters. He was down in Montana. So, yep. Unless I dreamed that concert with my sister. I mean, no, he's a real person. I promise.
Maybe you did. You have to post a link to his stuff in the comments
I
later.
definitely will. No, I actually almost used his songs for a one of my book trailers, and like his agent and everything, he given me 6 months rights and all that, but I ended up not using it. I don't know why. It was good.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, I should have. Anyways, we should probably
Moving right along.
move on. Jean, would you like to read first? Are you ready?
Uh-oh,
No?
did
Yes?
she freeze?
Are
I
you
don't know what's
frozen?
happening.
Are you just not talking? Jean, are you there? Amelia, would you like to read first?
Yeah,
Guess what, Amelia? You're up.
I'll go ahead and read.
We can if you need to set it up or anything, go ahead and give us
Yeah, I just have like a random
scene
Word
setup.
document. So this could look weird because I can only like see half of my face.
Sure.
Sorry.
Can you
Okay.
hear me okay? My internet is breaking up a little bit. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you now.
We can.
Okay.
We'll let Amelia go first,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
we'll try again.
Okay, so this is from my
can
book.
hear you guys, but I think I closed up.
Oh, is she still here? I can't see anything. Okay, this is from my book King of Shadows, which I was just talking about. And it is chapter 1. So I'm just gonna read it. I'm gonna assume that everything is okay in the show because I can't see anything anymore. So yeah, I'm hoping that everything's fine. Okay, this is chapter 1. She won't let me go. My mother digs her fingers into the flesh of my upper arm, her grip so hard I'm certain it's gone down to the bone. A dishcloth dangles from her other hand. She wouldn't dare crush the dishcloth like this, not something embroidered with a blood orange poppy. I stitched it when I was 6 years old. The fact that I made it gives it none of its value. The flower is everything. Flowers are always everything. The city again. The quiet words are a perfect match for the buttery sunlight coming in through the double panes over the sink and splashing against the heavy wooden table that takes up most of the kitchen. Early summer and everything outside blooms lush and green. From here, I can't see the fence that surrounds the house and my mother's fields. I can't see much of anything with her standing so close. I already told you it's dangerous. Besides, you have the spring planting to do. I plant my feet on the floor and try to visualize being a tree. This is the yoga move I'm terrible at in general. I'd rather be moving, but if I move at all, she'll only hold tighter. Pain throbs through my arm. I want her to let go, but I want her lightning bolt attention too. I want her to love me enough to let me go. She'll leave marks if this goes on much longer. Then why do the other girls get to live in the city, I want to ask. She let me go to school for 2 or 3 years. I only saw the city once, and I paid for it dearly. One time, I went with 2 friends to an antique bookstore in a snug alley that sells first editions and rare prints, owned by 3 women whose long dresses reminded me of uniforms, only they had subtle differences. An asymmetrical hem, a bright red scarf, a gold headband twining into chestnut hair. You're hurting me, I want to say. What comes out instead is, you don't need me to do the spring planting. There are employees for that. Her grip tightens, a bruising cymbal crash of pain, and then she releases me, steps back, takes a long breath in. A pang of disappointment vibrates through the center of me like a strike on a tuning fork. Why am I possibly disappointed by the release? Probably because nobody looks at me the way my mother looks at me, with intensity. Not until recently, anyway. A match strikes, hidden beneath flesh and bone, but I don't let her see the warm glow of hope. She's not the only one anymore. His existence is what gave me the courage to bring up the possibility of leaving one last time. She glares at me. You think my precious flowers should be planted by employees? My hand goes to my arm in spite of myself, and I rub at the tender heat, crane my neck to see if she left a mark. Red fingerprints, that's all I can see. It's anyone's guess whether they'll darken into shadowy bruises or fade away in the sunlight. No, of course not. I cover them with my hand. It was only an idea I had, the city. You're right, it's too dangerous. She whips the dishcloth onto a hook below the sink, the set of her jaw apocalyptic. Once she let slip that men in the city knew her for her beauty, and I believe it. If she went there now, they'd still talk about her. Her hair, even at 40, is gloriously bronze, curls springy and full. She gathers that hair at the nape of her neck and glares out the window while she pushes it into an elastic. My heart flutters beneath the skin of my neck. She could be a figure in a painting, standing tall and proud at the window, the sun kissing her face. But a painting would only capture the fine burgundy of her outfit and the way her tunic pinches in at the waist, and her pants fall in a graceful line over shapely legs. She has the tunic specially made to match her image as an earth mother, a lady of the dirt and plants. The opposite of all the businesswomen in the city with their pantsuits and silk shells. I would kill for a silk shell, honestly. I'm tired of linen for miles. My mother's legs in linen, like everything else she wears, are a direct result of all the work she does, also part of her image. There are some farms where people hire out all the work, but she gets her hands dirty. I've seen the brochures she keeps in a tiny room she calls an office, thick white paper, a photo of her on the front. In the photo, she's grinning in a wash of golden hour sunset and literally holding a handful of dirt. That could be me, so easily. Wouldn't she love that if I stepped up and took her place? A painting of my mother in this moment would never capture that latent electricity in the air, a storm coming in, all the softness of the kitchen, the cheery check tablecloth, the matching curtain at the window is an illusion. There's nothing soft here. Her thunder dart gaze snaps to mine, and I almost take a step backward. I didn't raise you to be a sheep, Seffi. The sharpness of her voice is as loving as I've ever heard it. What does the city have for you? Glass and concrete, dangerous men who will take you as soon as they'll look at you? No, the city has violence. She sweeps across the kitchen, and this time I do turn. I can't help myself. This time her hand on my arm is a feather-light touch. She skims me across the kitchen floor and opens the door with a graceful tug. My mother takes us several paces out into the yard, my bare feet sinking into the loamy dirt and the flawless carpet of grass, and arrests my momentum with a yank on my shoulder. What do you see, Seffi? Her breath on my ear is hot, her hand soft on my shoulder, but no less terrifying. The mountain. Despite everything, despite my dry lips and parched throat and the slow, anxious turn of my stomach, irritation sparks like a stubborn ember at the pit of my gut. The mountain, she repeats. And who lives in the mountain? I can see the gash of his fortress even from here, though it's miles away. Only a very rich man would carve a mansion into the side of a mountain, and the man who lives there is very, very rich. I've heard other rumors, too, that the inside of the mountain is a diamond mine, that the inside of the mountain is worse than a diamond mine, that the diamond mine is a front for terrible things. There's no need to stand here and look at it. The mountain can't come to us. Luther Hades. The sooner we can get this two-person play over with, the sooner I can get out into the field. My mother was right about one thing. It was a mistake to say anything to her about moving out of the house, even though I'm 20, even though it's time. She turns me to face her, one swift movement. Her gray eyes, silvery in the golden hour, bore into mine. And what happens to pretty girls who go into the city unprotected? What would happen to you? I didn't say I would go unprotected, I want to shout at her, but that would give everything away, wouldn't it? It would. The words come out well rehearsed. He would find me and he would kill me. That's right. She screws up her lips, and for a flash of a second, all her bravado drops away. It's back again in the next breath. He would kill you. My mother raises a hand to my face and draws her fingers down the side of my cheek. And I can't let that happen. Don't you understand that? But why? She said this so many times, and today, I can't stand not knowing why. I believe her. She's said it so many times that it's hard not to believe her, even if there's no reason. Why are you so sure he's going to kill me? Does it matter why? I'm 20 years old now, Mama. I deserve to know the truth. You're still a child, far too innocent for the city, too innocent to face the likes of Luther Hades. She stares out at the mountain narrow-eyed, almost as if she's challenging him to come down to her field right now and try to get me. He's never even met me. Why would he want to kill me? Because that's what men like him do, all of them, every one. The city crawls with them. You'd never get out in one piece. She brushes a lock of hair away from her cheek. Trust me. And we're back at the beginning again. He will kill me because men are killers, because men are rapists, because men are dangerous, especially men with money. I understand a lot of things, but this is obsession she has with Luther Hades, this burning hatred shining in her eyes. I don't understand that. If all men are ruthless killers, then why does she hire them to work for her? There are other questions I don't dare ask, like what happened when she met Luther Hades? She must have met him. You can't hate a person you've never met. Not like this. Can you? Her eyes on mine tug at a far corner of my memory. The day I stitched my first poppy into the dishcloth, following a pattern she'd ordered from a catalog, her face pale. Get into the closet and don't make a sound. I shake it out of my head. Who can count on memories from 14 years ago? And why, honestly, why would a man I've never met kill me? A secret reason? Something I've never done? Or something I've done without knowing I've done it? Impossible. I haven't done anything. She's never allowed me to do anything. A soft ache pulses at the center of my heart. For so long, I believed that my mother knew everything. Now, I think she's a sad, paranoid woman who just wants to keep me here so she won't be lonely. And it's easier to keep me here if I have nowhere else to go. I let my shoulders sag a little. I trust you. I won't ask again. My mother catches my hand in hers and squeezes. The fingerprints on my arm smart. She takes a deep breath. Are you working in the South Fields today? I put on a smile. No, I finished those yesterday. There's my good girl. Does she buy it? I wonder if she does while I collect the specially made basket I take into the fields, the one with ridges at the bottom to keep the blooms separate from one another, while I wave at her through the dining room window, while she paces with her phone pressed to her ear, the phone she keeps locked in her bedside table at night. In a way, I told the truth. I do understand why she wants to keep me behind her 15-foot fences and away from the world. I've read enough books to know that mothers have some base instinct to protect their children, even if that instinct is only biological. In my mother's case, it can't be emotional. Like a less valuable flower, I am one of the creations she can control. I told the truth, but in so many other ways, I lied. And that's the end of the chapter.
Oh, no, I'm not in. There we go. We're all back.
Okay, there you are.
Dawn, you're still muted.
Not anymore.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Man, we're having some technical difficulties tonight.
Yeah, we are. It's funny.
That's all right. I just got my stairs workout in while Amelia was reading. Our internet, we do have cowboys out here in rural Canada, but our internet leaves a bit to be desired, and it completely cratered on me. And I had told the whole family they couldn't be on the internet before I got on, and I restarted everything because I'm like, it's gonna work. It's gonna work.
Yeah, that was funny. You were reading, and I was really enjoying it, but I kept seeing Jean's picture going out and back, and I was like, oh, I hope she makes it. We'll see. We go with the flow, though. If things go bad, we go with the flow. So, so Amelia, I'm sorry we didn't get do you have the cover of that book?
I do.
We didn't ask you to show us what book it was from, and
It's from
we love
this
seeing
book.
Nice. Nice. And is that
kind of light? Yeah,
I know there's a tiny bit of a glare, but we can all appreciate the hint of, man candy that you're showing us right now. So
yeah.
Linda, who's frozen?
Uh-oh, Linda says someone's frozen.
Amelia, do you do the covers yourself, or do you?
Yeah, I did.
You did.
I did.
Nice.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And is that book one of your
That's
trilogy?
book one of the
Okay.
trilogy. Yeah, and book two came out. I don't really know what day it is. Last week, I think.
I know we're all living in this
I know.
bubble. What day is it again?
Yeah.
It's April now.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
it took us
April.
2 days to actually pull the calendar and flip it because it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter anymore.
No.
Nobody has anything
Yeah.
planned. So
Yep. Well, I do. I'm going camping tomorrow.
really,
Well, quarantine camping. So because we were supposed to be camping this whole week with my kids, and they were
for spring
super-
break.
Yeah, and they were super, super sad. So my husband and I decided that we're going to camp tomorrow. We're going to pitch the tent in our living room, and no electronics. So we're going off the grid. We're going to be doing all camping things. We're even going to let them whittle sticks in the living room.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
we're going to build ourselves a big fire. And
I was going to say, how far are you going to take this? Is your entire place going to go up in flames
yeah.
in a bonfire?
No. We're going to have a fake fire inside, but we're going to have we're gonna make a fire in my husband's grill because it's like a big heavy duty one, and we're gonna roast marshmallows and hot dogs over the flames there. So
That sounds like fun. Yeah. If Dawn's not here 2 weeks from now, everyone will know.
it's because
So don't add a lot of lighter fluid to that fire you have going in the grill.
Yeah. No, don't worry. It will be outside. I promise. The fire will be
Excellent.
the real one. Will
That's
be.
funny.
But yeah, so we're just trying to make them feel better for not being able to go camping. They're pretty excited.
Good.
We've overshadowed the Easter Bunny at least for a day because my boys were convinced that today was Easter. And so for the entire week, they've been getting their bedroom ready for the Easter Bunny.
Oh.
And then we had to be like, sorry, but like it's still a couple days from now. So we're like, why don't we go camping?
You're more enterprising than I am. So, Amelia, tell us a little bit more about this book.
Yes.
So, you said it's contemporary.
It is contemporary.
It almost sounded a little dystopian or something. Is it set in present modern day then?
Yeah, it's set in the present modern day. The main character, Persephone, obviously is just like extremely sheltered. So they don't have, she doesn't have like any of the stuff, which sustains my life. So that's kind of hard to write about. But yeah, it's modern, it's contemporary. They just kind of live in the middle of nowhere by this mountain. So
now I don't know. Okay. I don't know if you mind me asking, but where do you live? I
didn't even say it before. I live in northern Michigan.
Oh,
yeah.
Dylann.
Yeah.
Between Dylann and Linda.
Like way at the ring finger.
Oh.
So not quite in the UP, but
But do you have snow?
No, it melted. There was a little coming down today, and I was like, seriously?
We had that too.
My daughter was like, we should go sledding, and I was like, there is not going to be enough snow to go sledding. I'm so sorry.
Very bizarre today. And then the sun would come out and shine, and then all of a sudden, it was gray again, and the snow was coming down. It was very strange. So we did have a couple questions. I'm scrolling back in to see.
I know we had 2 questions.
Yes. Linda wanted to know both of you, and I know we haven't heard from Jean yet, but she was just asking for both of you, what inspired you to write the books that you're narrating tonight?
I'll go first. I really like Broadway musicals. And last summer I was pregnant with our 3rd baby, and I couldn't do anything because I was tired or whatever except drive around. So we have 2 older daughters too. So we would trap them in the car and drive around, and we were listening to the musical Hadestown, which is like similar but not exactly. It's like set kind of in a post-apocalypse future. And anyway, it's not about Hades and Persephone. It's about like Orpheus and Eurydice, but Hades and Persephone are in it. And I was like, you know what? These 2 are way more interesting than the people who the play is supposed to be about. So I just thought about it for like 1 year and then wrote the book.
So it's like fanfic from a Broadway musical.
Yeah.
I love it.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm joking. That's awesome, though. I haven't seen that one, but we love musicals. We were just, when I was in London with my daughter, we went and saw Wicked. So that was the first time she'd seen it. So
I love Wicked. Yeah.
Yes, it was good. They did a nice production. So big fan of musicals. So how about you, Jean? What inspired you to write the book that we're about, hopefully that we're about to hear from? Oh my gosh.
Can she not hear us? Jean, can you hear us?
Jean's got to move to the city. That's it. I don't think she can hear us. All right. There was another question. She also wanted to know, what do you think makes a good story? And that's kind of a loaded question, but I'm going to let it go anyways and see what you say.
Just cut out. I wasn't sure.
Good. Okay. She's back. She's back. Could you hear us?
Yes, it was just sort of cut out the actual introduction, so I was pausing because I'm like, did you say Jean? I'll wait to see if
Oh, shut up. Okay.
That's all. Sorry.
No.
I'll be the difficult child tonight with my internet.
It's all right. It's usually Dawn, so it's nice to
Yeah.
have someone else take a
I'll
stab
take that
at
off
it.
your shoulders tonight.
I'm joking. Did you hear the question? Linda wanted to know what inspired you to write the book that you are going to be reading from tonight.
I will be reading from The Surprise Wedding, and it's a marriage of convenience romance, and it's a fake engagement, second chance in a small town. So you know that a fake engagement between exes in a small town, that's just not gonna stay a secret for very long, right? You know everybody's gonna figure it out. But anyway, what inspired me, I've always kind of loved marriage of convenience romances. And the first romance I read, I didn't even realize that marriage of conveniences were a trope. And I didn't even really realize the book was a romance because it was my guy friend in high school. His grandfather wrote the book. Living out in the country before, e-readers, I got a little desperate for books. And so my mom had this book from this guy, and I'm like, oh, that's Johnny's grandpa. Okay. And so I start reading it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. And it was like this mail order bride book. And I was just like, oh, I love this. They don't know each other. And oh, she's in love with him and he doesn't know. And I was just like so smitten with it. But I didn't even realize it was actually a thing and that I could find more books like that until like, I don't know, probably only 5 years ago. And then I'm like, why am I not writing this? Because I've been writing other romances like chick lit and, stuff like that. And I was just like, why am I not writing this? And I already had this small town, mountain town called Blueberry Springs established and all these great characters. And my readers wanted more books. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to write these marriage of convenience books, why don't I put it in the small town? Because that'll add this extra element that'll just make everything deliciously messy. And so, yeah. So specifically for this book, I can't remember exactly where these two characters came from, but actually, yeah, the hero is a friend and a cousin and a brother and whatnot in the first series, and readers were sort of like, what's his story? And so this is his story. He got burned in college and just was sort of like, I will flirt with everybody, but I am not going to get attached to anyone. And then his ex comes back.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Well, that does sound deliciously messy.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, which kind of leads into the next question was, what do you think makes a good story? So let Jean answer that one first.
For me, as a reader, I love the emotion. If a book can make me cry and laugh and, that sort of tight feeling in your chest when you're reading something, you're just like, oh, that to me, like, it doesn't matter what kind of book it is, if it can make me feel like that, where I just don't want to put it down and just want to keep reading like that. I love that so much.
How about you, Amelia?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I like that.
We're not going to let you off that easy.
I like that. I mean, for me, like, it's like the emotional aspect of it too, but I like to reread books. I know not everybody does. So I like a story that I can reread like 100 times. Mm-hmm. So I want it to like be an emotional punch, but I also want to be able to like read it again. And I think that's like not true of every single book. Some of them are just too hard to read again, I guess. Yeah. But yeah.
So what book have you read the most often?
Oh, a lot. But my favorites in the last few years have been this zombie series called the Newsflesh trilogy. It's by this author named Mira Grant, and it doesn't really have anything to do with romance. But those ones I really love. If it was a romance, though, the ones that I've reread like 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years are the new Camelot series by Sierra Simone. I love them.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Dylan? Which books have you reread?
Oh gosh. You know what? I don't reread a ton of books because I feel like I have so many on my TBR pile that, I mean, there's definitely books that, I love that. I mean, I would reread probably any of the Ginny Cruzy books. I used to love her books. Anything that can make me laugh. But yeah, I feel like my time for reading is so limited that I want to read all the new stuff. So
Do you feel that way about TV though? Because for me, I'm still watching The Office, so I guess maybe it's just kind of the same.
Yes.
I did go back and watch Friends from the very beginning. I don't know why. I just had this goal because I'm one of those people that likes to lay in bed and watch TV as I fall asleep. I know everyone says you're not supposed to do that, but I do. So I decided I would go through and start with the beginning of Friends and watch all the way through. But you know what? When you go back, I feel like I went back and watched, and some of those episodes, it's like, oh my gosh, that's like, it was funny at the time, but that's just so not politically correct nowadays, and so it almost ruins it because, I feel like it was awesome in that time, in that headspace, and all that, and then, I mean, there were still, you got a lot of the one-liners and stuff that were good. But I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, Phoebe, the way she talks about her mom, it's so insensitive. And at the time I thought, I thought it was funny. And now it's just,
Yeah.
So I don't go back and watch too many things. Movies, though, I do that with movies. For sure, I'll do that with movies. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched The Princess Bride, but I'll always do that with movies. Yeah. How about you, Dawn?
Speaking of television, I watch series over and over again all the time. I'm on my 3rd or 4th round of New Girl. And it's still just as funny to me. But then I have crime shows and stuff like that. As far as books, I have authors that I will read over and over again, like Linda Lil Miller. And I was just looking up because there is Jean, the Mail Order Bride series that she did that I have read over and over and over again. And I just adore Linda. And of course, there's Jane Austen. Yeah, I will read the crap out of some Jane Austen over and over again because I think that with that kind of book, with the language and everything, you're still discovering new things unless you are like Kate Bateman and know exactly what they're saying. But anyways, I discover new things every time I read Jane Austen, so I'll read her over and over again. Yeah. Oh, Sheila's got a question.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got a few more questions. I don't know. Do you want to go ahead and have Jean read, and then we can ask more questions?
Sure.
I want to make sure we have time for her to read.
Yep.
And hopefully her internet. I mean, it's working well right now. I feel like we should seize this opportunity.
Yeah, take the moment.
All right, we're popping you up, Jean.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I'm reading The Surprise Wedding, and I spent a few hours this afternoon trying to pick different sections, and then I'm like, well, then I have to explain that one, and this one's not going to make sense unless I read this part, and I only have 10 minutes, so I'm gonna start at the beginning. So, as I said, it's The Surprise Wedding, 2 exes, second chance romance set in the small town of Blue Springs. Devin Matson straightened his tie and stood in the doorway of the large banquet area. He'd lied to get into the private gathering for I can't read my own writing. For Carrington Cosmetics and Cohen's Blissful Body Care. Lied to give himself the opportunity to ask a favor of the last woman on earth he ever wanted to see, Olivia Carrington, the woman who, 10 years ago, had broken his heart when she'd punted him out of her life. That's how desperate he'd become. But she hadn't returned his calls. Nobody at Carrington had, and he was running out of time. Olivia would be here, mere hours from his hometown, for only 6 more days as part of her company's business retreat, an annual brainstorming affair that the company shared with Cohen's Blissful Body Care, which was owned and operated by their close friends, the Cohens. According to Carrington's corporate website, in 6 days they'd all go back to South Carolina, and at the rate things were changing in his hometown of Blueberry Springs, Devin didn't have much time beyond that. He needed a miracle, and he needed it sooner rather than later. He spotted Olivia across the room almost immediately. She was sitting near the head of the enormous table, the chandelier above sparkling like the diamonds in her ears. She was smiling, one elbow on the linen cloth, as she listened attentively to the person beside her. She was still as beautiful as ever, her smile just as alluring. A deafening flood of emotions roared through Devin. Anger, loss, heartbreak. He had believed she was different. Not just a rich princess type, but a woman who was kind, fun, and creative. Someone he could give his heart to, and she'd hold it safe. He had been wrong. And all he could see was their shattered past, the way she'd pushed him away, rejecting all he had to offer during a time when they should have held on tighter, become a family. Was he really going to ask her for help? He could still slip from the room unnoticed and leave the pain in the past. But he needed her. She was the last stop on his personal train of desperation. Olivia's father stood at his chair at the end of the table, clinking his glass, commanding the attention of his guests. The elite group fell silent in sync, all eyes turning to Jack Carrington. Olivia's cascade of blonde curls stood out among the heads of gray. She was even more gorgeous than she'd been in college, and back then she'd been able to take Devin's breath away with just one tentative smile. She still drew his eye as if their souls were connected, which they weren't. She'd severed that link, made it clear she didn't need him in her life. As you know, Jack Carrington boomed in a smooth voice that held a hint of southern drawl, we've gathered here this week to discuss new opportunities, proposed mergers of cooperation, and quite possibly a union. He paused to smile, letting everyone in the room take in the last part of his statement. A tall, lean man Devin recognized from years ago stood up across from Olivia. He was smiling like he had claim to $1 million lottery ticket, and as he looked upon Olivia, possessiveness marking his gaze. He began fishing through his suit jacket's inner breast pocket as though in the search for a ring. Devin's heart began to thunder. Luke was every bit Olivia's match, their worlds lining up in a way Devin's and Olivia's never had. Instinct told Devin to intervene. Luke was going to propose. He could feel it. He needed Olivia before she said yes. He didn't know why exactly, only that Luke, as a fiancé, would interfere with Carrington helping Devin's hometown of Blueberry Springs. Olivia pushed back in her chair as she apparently realized what Luke was doing. Her fingers gripping the edge of the table. She looked pale, uncertain, her eyes wide as though she were facing an oncoming train while tied to the tracks. Pastel-clad older ladies at the table began tittering, hands covering their mouths, as they speculated about the possibility of a marriage proposal, eyes gleaming. Without thinking, Devin strode into the room. Sorry to interrupt, but I need to speak with Olivia Carrington. All eyes turned to him, and Olivia stood so suddenly her heavy chair teetered. Her face registered a flash of relief mixed with shock before she did a double take. She dropped back into her chair, mouth open, her hand missing her wine glass as she reached to clutch it. Her lips frowned ever so slightly as she took in the room with a sweeping glance, reading expressions, reactions, and undoubtedly realizing how it all reflected back on her. Yeah, he was a painful memory from her past, the last person she expected to see crashing her public, soon-to-be engagement, someone she had probably hoped to never see again. Olivia? He prompted gently. She stood again, opening her mouth to speak. Their eyes meeting. A flash of pain, bright and strong, surged between them, spearing him. He shouldn't have come. This is a private gathering, her father said in a loud, stern voice. We won't be but a moment, Devin said kindly, trying to act unaffected, calm. If you don't mind, Olivia? Her cheeks were flushed, and her table mates gaped at the two of them, trying to decipher what the interruption meant. He knew that, as always, Olivia wanted to get every detail right, make the right impression. She glanced uncertainly, apologetically at Luke, while lightly touching her neck just above her ear, revealing her nervousness. She stepped away from the table, and her father put out an arm to stop her, saying, "This isn't a good time." Olivia halted. "Who is this man?" Luke asked. He smoothed his suit jacket, standing taller as he came around the table, as though Olivia was in need of protection. Little did the man know, Devon had absolutely no designs on his fiancée-to-be. That ship had not only sailed, but been plundered and sunk offshore. This was about business, his town, and nothing more. Olivia said in a soft, placating tone, "Why don't we set up a meeting, Mr. Matson?" Mr. Wow, she was playing the proper air to a T. Not that he was surprised. That was the real Olivia, not the one he had fallen for. But a prearranged meeting? He knew if he agreed, she'd never show up for it. Her father would personally guarantee it. "I can pull up a chair until you have a moment." He tipped his chin toward the waiter who was waiting. A white linen cloth draped over his left arm. "A chair, please." The man jolted into action but froze when Olivia's father put up a hand to stop him. The waiter gazed from one to the other, conflicted on how to proceed. "You are not welcome here," Mr. Carrington stated. His face had turned red. Yep, he remembered Devon. Any father in his place would have, and Devon didn't blame him for the wall of anger, his primal need to protect his daughter. But Devon had never meant to hurt her, never meant to put them in a position where everything could fall apart so easily. He carefully shifted his weight, knowing the Carringtons didn't want a scene and were waiting for a valid excuse to toss him out. "I only need a moment to discuss something with Miss Carrington, or anyone who knows about her organic line, really." He gave a bland, disarming smile. He casually leaned against the wall, glancing up at the ornate ceiling. Talk about getting a crick in the neck. Painting those little cherubs up on the plaster like that, the wispy clouds and the fancy gold, whatever you called it. He thought trying to keep the current mayor of Blueberry Springs in line was tricky enough. Devon checked the room again, knowing that appearing aloof would aggravate the Carringtons, forcing them to act. Olivia had her head tipped to the side, studying him. He raised his eyebrows and she flinched, looking away. The women near Devon were chatting loudly now, clearly speculating about who the stunner in the cheap suit was. This was his most expensive suit, and it was most definitely not cheap, at least not by Blueberry Springs' standards. But here in the posh mountain resort, where the wealthy held their retreats, maybe it was. Nobody had to mess around with his inseam to get it to fit right. He shot the women a disarming smile, which they returned, their already pink cheeks brightening. Oh, they loved a little drama, didn't they? "I thought you promised to never speak to him again," Devon overheard Mr. Carrington say quietly to his daughter. Olivia placed a hand on her father's arm and began discussing something with him in hushed tones. Devon caught him saying with a hint of exasperation, "This pet project of yours," before Olivia addressed the room at large. "I'm sorry for the interruption," she said smoothly. "Please enjoy your desserts. I'll return momentarily." She gracefully swept away from the table, her cocktail gown clinging to the curves Devon remembered, like a blind man recalls the steps leading up to his own home. He had a fleeting thought that she might still have the ability to break his heart, and that coming to see her had indeed been a very, very bad idea. There we go. That's from The Surprise Wedding. Hope you guys can still hear me.
Getting us in there. We're getting this in there.
What's going on, Dawn?
I don't know.
That
I
moment
put us
of-
in there. Why is it not? Oh.
Here we go. Okay.
I had a moment where I'm like, did I just read to myself for 10 minutes?
I don't know what was going on. It was all weird.
There's something in the air tonight, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it's COVID-19 in the air.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
And snow.
That's very true. That was wonderful. I could just totally picture that scene as you were reading it, and that poor guy walking in on breaking up an almost engagement. That was the kind of
Thank you.
situation you love to put your characters in. No, that was fabulous.
Thank you.
Jean, I do have a question. I noticed because you're giving away the trilogy, correct? All three, or just one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there are 7 books total in the series. The Surprise Wedding is a free ebook everywhere. And what I'm giving away is the digital box set of the first 4 books. So the prequel, because I wrote like a little short story about where they first met, then this actual big novel, and then 2 more novels. So it's actually 4 books in the Veils and Vows romance collection. So they get the first 4 books.
Are they all Marriage of Convenience or just the one?
They are, except for the prequel, The Promise, which is how they met. It's an opposites attract kind of thing. Like he's a race car driver, she's a debutante kind of thing. And so, but this one it's a fake engagement. The next book is actually his brother's book, where their old family friend needs a husband and he needs to offload a restaurant, and they're just like, you know what, it'd just be easier if we get married and just swap a bunch of stuff around, save taxes and sales and all this, and of course fall in love. So that's for A Pinch of Commitment, which is the next one. And then the third one, The Wedding Plan, is Olivia's sister, and she gets in a secret marriage with... Did I disappear?
Oh, you froze.
A secret marriage.
It was very suspenseful.
It was. I was like, oh, she's really dragging it on. She wants us to be like, with? So who is it with? Because I'm super curious. Oh, no. Is she frozen without telling us who it's with?
We'll never know.
Jean, tell us. We're all waiting.
Yes. So the first book is their prequel. The 3 novels that are in the box set are Marriage of Conveniences. So a fake engagement, because I don't know where I froze, so I hope I'm not repeating myself. But the first one,
the last one.
Oh, okay. Oh, was it freeze right when I'm like,
yes,
yes. Who it is? Because that would have been awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's still not telling us. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
We'll do that for the win.
You should write it on a piece of paper and hold it up to the screen.
Olivia's sister Emma gets in a secret marriage with Luke.
Oh,
the
Luke.
guy who was about to propose in the book.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh.
No, we heard you. Got it.
No, we got it. Yeah.
Finally. You know.
Oh, that's funny.
Apparently, I'm not supposed to reveal that spoiler.
I guess not. Yeah. The universe is like, don't tell. Don't tell.
Maybe you should start writing romantic suspense.
Hold it.
You're very good at it.
Yeah.
We're all on the edge of our
I
seat.
might have paper.
Oh, that's funny. We did get a couple questions come in, so I want to make sure we get to these real quick.
Oh,
Amanda.
Okay.
Amanda would like to know, for both of you, what genre do you like to read outside of romance?
Okay, good.
Oh, I think she's delayed like crazy. Are you delayed?
Yeah. So that's another messy one.
I think she's super delayed.
Okay, maybe pop her out and back in again. Jean is having a conversation with herself. Okay, we'll try this again. I told you we have technical difficulties and we just roll with it.
There we go. Okay.
So Amanda would like to know, what genre do you like to read outside of romance? How about you, Amelia?
Amelia, let's start with you.
First off, this is my Amanda. She came here for me.
Oh, you're Amanda.
So you should know that she's really great. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but anyway, I really like to read apocalypse books. Yeah. So in a way, I felt really prepared for COVID-19.
You've been preparing for this your entire reading career, huh?
I've been studying really hard, so it's like I'm gonna pass.
Nice. Jean, are you caught up to us? I don't think she is.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, she
poor
popped
Jean.
herself back up. Okay.
All right. How about you, Dawn? What do you like to read?
Well, I mean, is Jane Austen? It's literary. Is that romance? Oh, it is romance.
Classics?
Yeah,
It is. It's literally. You're right.
Yeah, that's the wine speaking. But I also love me some Louis L'Amour, some just plain old Western fiction. I will read the crap out of Louis. So yeah.
I'm just noticing how pale I look compared to the two of you. You look like you've been to the beach, and I look like I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse.
Well, it's a soft lamp. It's a really
I think I need new lighting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to work on new lighting before our next time.
Situation. What is it?
I just have a lamp here because if I had the big light on in my office, you'd be able to see how messy it is behind me. So I have to diffuse.
Well, all you have to do is put Cowboy Charming behind you, and it blocks the view.
I know. We'll have to try that.
Yeah.
We'll bring him out next time.
Yeah.
So there was another question. Sheila wants to know, do you feel more creative during this time frame at home or not? Sheila is finding it hard to read much right now. So
yeah.
Hi, Jean. Welcome back.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. We just had a question. Do you feel more creative during this time frame at home or less creative?
I'm not sure that creativity has been impacted. However, my ability to concentrate for a long stretch of time has, just because my husband's working from home and the kids are doing school from home and stuff like that. So I can hear my husband in the other room talking, teaching classes and stuff like that, and talking about the Aztecs and corpses, which doesn't really put me in the romantic mood. So I think that has been more of an issue than creativity, just kind of getting that quiet. I need quiet when I write, and just, yeah.
I feel like most authors were like, yes, finally, like our time to just write all day and not have an excuse, and then everybody's just like fucking kids. Sorry.
Nice, Dawn. Nice. Did we not have this conversation right before we came on?
The kids ruined it all. You said the F word is okay.
No,
You said one was okay.
I said if you're reading and it slips out, it's okay.
Oh, I wasn't reading, but it slipped out. Anyways, they're just like, damn, it's ruining my life and eating all my steak.
How about you, Amelia? Do you feel more creative?
I mean, I had to listen to Hadestown for like 6 months to get the idea for this book, so I don't know if I'm like really creative under like the best of circumstances. I think it's still fine. I'm like more creative in other ways though. Like I'm haunting the samsclub.com website and like grocery pickup at 3 a.m. Like I'm really creative about that. So I don't think it's that bad.
Sam's Club,
I mean, it is bad. It's really terrible, but like I'm not that bad.
So Sam's Club lets you pick up at 3 a.m.
Well, Sam's Club doesn't, but if you order at the exact right time, sometimes they'll have stuff to ship to your house. But it has to be like the exact moment that it's in stock.
We haven't tried to do the online, like put your order in online and then pick up, but I've heard some people have said that, if you go on late at night and set it up, you're more likely to get a date that's not 3 weeks out into the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, I live on Bay, so we have a store, their commissary right here. They finally had to, they restricted the retirees from coming onto base only Monday and Tuesday because they were literally coming in every day and mass buying the entire store. So who live on base couldn't get basic groceries. And so they closed it down to only Mondays and Tuesdays for the retirees. They're pissed, but I actually found toilet paper at 1:00 in the afternoon the other day. And I'm just like, it was amazing.
So your stash is solid right now.
I'm okay. Yeah. I buy toilet paper whenever it shows up. Disinfectant wipe, that's a different story. But we have like the spray and stuff. So
Well, and that you can make your own, like with bleach and water or something, which
Bleach is sold out.
Oh, really?
Don't even try.
See, I stopped bleaching my whites a long time ago, so we have like a whole gallon of bleach in our laundry room that I haven't used.
there you go.
We have some, and then like my husband, who is like my favorite person, recently decided to start bleaching our whites, and I was like, "This is not the time. Like, we need to conserve this. We need to keep this."
No one's gonna see if we have underarm stains, but we're definitely gonna know that. Don't want to put ourselves at risk.
Linda, we have limits too now. They did that. They closed them down and put limits on it. So.
All right, and I did see one more question go by. Sarah wants to know, are you plotters or pantsers?
I don't know. Can we plot this? I don't know who's going to. I'll just say it. I'm a plotter, but then I usually ignore it. So I don't know.
Well, but if you plot it ahead of time, then you probably have a little bit of a roadmap in your head, I guess. And then
I don't sit down with like no idea what I'm going to do. But then sometimes I'm like, well, this outline is over and I'm not going to do it. So half and half.
What about you, Jean?
I'm probably pretty similar. Like I have an idea and sort of a general sort of like a foundation, kind of like a little skeleton to work off of. But sometimes, the arm ends up like down by the foot and you got to kind of ruin things and throw pieces away. And so there's definitely room for a lot of changing things if the story goes a different direction. But I try and start with kind of a general idea where it's going to go.
So I once did a blog where I likened writing to doing chainsaw sculpture, where you just like get the basic outline and then you like carve it, but you make it sound more like Frankensteining. Yeah, the arm down here.
I'm pretty sure I'd lop off a head if you gave me a chainsaw, so I'll stay away from that.
See, I'm picturing Mr. Potato Head in my mind, where he's got the eyes and. That's true though. That's pretty much how writing a book is. You make sure you've got all the potato head parts, and then you just have to rearrange them. So
yes. Well, I'm going to tell you, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eggs in our Easter basket today. Good job, ladies. Good job.
You know what, Dawn? I love how you so easily amuse yourself. I just think that it's such a gift to have during this time, especially. I mean, you're taking your kids indoor camping all weekend.
We went to the movies last week. Did you see my post on that? Oh, I had fake money. They did chores for 3 days to earn the money to come to our movie theater. And my husband, he took it up. He's like, I'm gonna be the laborer, or the boss man. And he was like, chores. Here's $1. Here's $1. He set it all up. We bought giant candy bars and soda, and they had to come and they had to pay their ticket. They had to buy tickets. I made tickets with my Cricut. He made a sign said SD theaters, and I made tickets with my Cricut said SD theaters, and they had to buy their tickets, and then they had to go buy their candy. And I was like a teenage girl. I'm like, here's your ticket. You have to get the food over there, and then. I went over there and I was like the ticket ripper, and then we watched.
Nice. I could hang out with you. We were like the Oram Backyard Olympics the other day. We made medals and we had ceremonies.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, Olympics. That's a good one.
See, I haven't done any fun stuff with my kids, but I've taken my entire reader group. We're doing a virtual week at a dude ranch this week, so
that's fun.
So in my reader group, we have 1 day left of our virtual dude ranch trip. If anybody wants to join a reader group,
so am I not on it? Because I know you.
I don't think you are, because we're actually at a dude ranch in Montana this week, and I think you probably would have spoken up if you.
Because I messaged
you were coming with us.
I said, "What the hell is a virtual dude ranch? That's so awesome."
Yeah. Well, I let them vote, and
Well,
I
add me,
told them they
add
could
me.
go we could go on a cruise, we could go to the beach, and they all voted to go to a dude ranch. And I mean, I've never been to a dude ranch, so I had to do a little bit of research, but we're having a good time.
My mother's cousin owns a dude ranch in Nevada.
Well, we should have romance happy hour there sometime.
We should. I should visit there sometime.
Yeah,
For the
Sarah's
first time.
in my dude ranch.
Ah, okay. Hey.
We're gonna go to the honky tonk later on tonight, but I told them that we had to stop by romance happy hour first. So
Well, Dylan, add me. Just
I'll
add
try.
Add all of us. I want to go
I
too.
want to go to the dude ranch.
Fun.
All right, you got to learn how to do the electric slide, though. Some people have
already
never line
know.
danced before. I figured you would, but
Yeah.
I posted a YouTube video so they would learn.
Do you know the Cotton Eye Joe?
Of course, I grew up in
Okay.
Texas.
Well,
Who doesn't? I mean, all you have to do on the Cotton Eye Joe is say
kids, I'm-
bullshit. See, there's my curse word for the night. All right, we did go over again, Dawn.
we did. We do. Oh, I told you it would go really fast, right, ladies?
Yeah,
Like it's
you
5
did
Well,
say
it
over.
goes fast for us. They might be
Yeah.
counting the seconds.
It could be. They're like, I have to pee so bad, which is usually me by this time. So, all right, we will end this broadcast, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a blast
Yes,
tonight.
thank
It was
you very
awesome.
much for being here.
That was fun. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you later next
All
time.
right,
Bye.
bye.
What's funny is when you end broadcast.